All right, so get this. AI making fantasy maps.
Hmm.
Yeah, I know, right? Sounds crazy.
Pretty wild.
Like straight out of some sci-fi thing, but it's real. Seriously.
Totally.
I was just reading this piece on GiPiTi chat and whoa, my mind is blown.
Cool stuff.
You know, remember how we used to spend like hours as kids sketching out those made-up worlds?
Yeah.
It's like that, but on some crazy level.
Yeah, for sure.
So imagine this, right?
Okay.
You're building this fantasy world for a story or a game, whatever, and you need the perfect map. Mountains, forests, rivers, you name it.
Right.
But instead of wrestling with graph paper and like all that.
Yeah. Getting lost in the detail.
Exactly. You've got this AI and it's like, hold my beer.
It really is remarkable. It's
Right
not
now.
just randomly generating a map that looks kind of cool, you know? Yep. These AI tools are actually trained on massive, and I mean massive, data sets of real-world geographical information.
So it's like the AI goes to school for geography, but like on fast forward.
Precisely.
Wow.
Learns what actually makes sense on a map.
So cool.
How rivers flow, where mountains form, how coastlines erode.
Okay.
Develops this deep understanding of how the physical world works.
Okay, that's already cool. But how does that translate to making a map of a world that, well, doesn't exist?
Because once it understands those rules, it can bend them, break them, in ways that still feel believable.
Oh, okay.
You want a continent shaped like a dragon? It can do that.
No way.
You want floating islands just hanging out up there, held by magic? It can figure out how to make that make sense geographically within your world.
Wait, so no more rivers magically flowing uphill just because I thought it looked cool in my head?
Well, you can still have those rivers.
Okay.
But the AI might give you some cool ways to explain why they flow uphill.
Wait, what?
Maybe there's a powerful magical artifact at the source. Or some hidden network of underground caverns messing with the water flow.
Wow.
It's about sparking those what-if moments that make your world feel so much richer and more believable.
That is wild. This is like way beyond just some cool, it's like having a superpower brainstorming partner.
For sure.
And get this, you don't even necessarily need fancy, expensive software, right?
Right.
The article talked about using free GPT for this. Is that for real?
Yeah, it is.
No way.
And that's a really exciting development because it makes this technology accessible to basically anyone, anyone with a computer and internet.
That's incredible.
You're basically just chatting with the AI, telling it what you want.
Oh, cool.
It generates a draft map, and then you can give it feedback and you kind of refine it together.
So it's like this back and forth. You're like collaborating with the AI.
Exactly. And that's actually a really interesting point because it reflects this larger shift in how we think about AI in general.
Interesting.
It's not just a tool that spits out answers anymore.
Right.
It's more like a creative partner.
Right.
Helping you explore possibilities you might not have even thought of on your own.
Okay, I am so ready to try this, but I gotta ask, any tips from the article on how to actually use these things? Because, full disclosure, I am not a tech wizard. I can totally picture myself, like, trying to explain this epic vision I have to this AI, and it just spits out something that looks like my 5-year-old got a hold of the crayons.
Yeah.
So, any advice from the article on how to avoid that whole disaster scenario?
Yeah, totally. The article actually had some really good tips for getting the most out of these AI map generators. One thing it said was to, start simple. You don't have to go full-blown world building right off the bat.
Right.
Don't try to create your entire world in one shot.
Less is more, right? Especially when you're first starting out.
Exactly. Start with a basic outline, maybe just the continents, the major landmasses, and kind of get a feel for how the AI is interpreting what you're putting in.
Okay, that makes sense.
Then you can gradually add more detail, refine coastlines, throw in some mountain ranges, forests, that kind of thing.
So, start with a rough sketch and let the AI help you fill in the blanks.
Exactly. And as you're going along, don't be afraid to play around with it a bit. The article really emphasized trying out different prompts.
Yeah.
Different map styles, just see what clicks.
Okay, so speaking of different map styles, can you actually, customize what these AI-generated maps look like? Or are you stuck with, the default AI aesthetic?
Oh, no, you can totally customize the way they look.
Yeah.
That's, one of the coolest things about it.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, a lot of these tools will let you choose from different styles, hand-drawn parchment-y textures.
Yeah.
Or even more modern, minimalist looks, whatever fits your vibe.
So I could have a map that looks like it came straight out of a medieval manuscript or something super sleek and futuristic.
Exactly. And it goes even deeper than that, right? You can get into terrain textures, add details like forests or ruins,
Oh.
even mess around with the color palettes to get a certain mood or atmosphere.
So it's not just about geography, it's like the art of map making too.
Totally. And the article made this really interesting point about how, these AI tools can actually make the artistic process even better.
Really? How so?
Well, because the AI is taking care of all the technical parts of actually making the map,
Mm-hmm.
it frees you up to just be creative.
Oh, I like that.
You can focus on the storytelling, the world building, the feeling you want the map to give people.
Yeah, it's taking care of all the boring stuff so you can just have fun with it.
Precisely. And another thing the article mentioned that I thought was really smart was saving multiple versions of your maps as you go.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, it's like you're keeping a visual record of all your brainstorming.
Right.
Because you might create a map with a certain mountain range or coastline or whatever that sparks an idea,
Yeah, totally.
even if it wasn't part of your original plan.
Yeah.
And by saving those different versions, you can always go back, revisit those little moments of inspiration, and maybe weave them into your world in a way you didn't expect.
It's like a safety net for your creativity.
Exactly. No idea's ever really gone.
I love it. Okay, so we've talked about how to use these things, but I'm kind of curious now about the bigger picture, We started with AI making fantasy maps, which is super cool in itself, but it feels like this could be huge for like way more than just fictional worlds. Does the article talk about that at all?
Yeah, totally. It actually ends on a really thought-provoking note.
Oh, cool.
You know how these AIs learn by basically devouring tons of real-world maps, right?
Yeah, like that whole geography school on fast forward thing we were talking about.
Exactly. So the article asks this question, like, what if we took that same approach, that same kind of analysis, and applied it to other stuff, not just maps?
Okay, interesting.
What if we fed the AI data about cities, populations, traffic patterns, even things like social networks, all of it?
Whoa, hold on. You're saying we could use this to understand, like, how societies work, like the hidden patterns behind everything.
Exactly. Imagine being able to visualize how ideas spread through a city,
Wow.
or like predict where the next big trend is going to come from,
That's wild.
or even use it to design better transportation systems, make cities work better.
It's like we could hold up a mirror to our world, but a mirror that shows us all the stuff we normally miss.
Right. Makes you wonder what else we're not seeing.
It really does. This is blowing my mind. We started with AI making cool maps for fantasy worlds, and now we're talking about, like, the future of cities and understanding, well, humans.
It's a pretty wild ride, right?
Yeah.
And it just goes to show you, sometimes the coolest discoveries come from the most unexpected places.
Totally. So basically what you're saying is, if anyone out there ever needs a map for that fantasy novel they've been dreaming up, give one of these AI tools a shot.
For sure.
You might just create something amazing.
And hey, you might even stumble onto an idea that changes how we see the world around us.
That's awesome. All right, everyone. Thanks for diving into this with us. Until next time.